Come on, Ryan. We can hide in the old music room, Jungkook whispered, holding the wrist of the girl as they ran down the corridor. The sound of their laughter resonated the whole area as heads turned to see them running. As the two slipped into the deserted room, the door clicked softly behind them. They were currently running from a professor who almost saw them near the prohibited area. Jungkook, safe here, he whispered, their laughter still lingering in the air, their breaths uneven as they panted from whatever adventure they were having a moment ago. As they calmed down, they realized their closeness against the wall, which spoke volumes, the distance between them narrowing with every heartbeat. He looked down at her, his hand on the wall beside her. Jungkook could feel the warmth radiating from Wyan. His breath slowly calmed down, yet his heartbeat got even irregular. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. Wyan's gaze intensified, and a soft shiver passed through them. Wyan, remember the time we got caught in the rain after school? We were soaked, and you gave me your jacket. Jungkook chuckled, the memory vivid in his dream. Jungkook, I thought I was being chivalrous. Wyan, you were, she whispered as she leaned in, their breaths mingling, her hand finding its way to Jungkook's, fingers intertwining. Jungkook's eyes fluttered open, and the warmth of the dream slowly faded, replaced by the cool reality of his bedroom. He lay there for a moment, trying to hold on to the remnants of the intimate dream, a beautiful past he spent with this one girl who still appears in his dreams. With a sigh, he got up and got ready to leave for his office. As per his routine, Vine and Jungkook used to study together. They were close, not in a relationship, but they knew there was something between them that couldn't be labeled as only friends. Vine had to live abroad to learn to be able to take over her father's business one day, and likewise, Jungkook got busy inheriting the business as well. They never met afterwards. Jungkook sat on his desk in his office as his secretary approached him as per routine. Rosie, good morning, Mr. John. I have gathered the latest market statistics for you, she announced, placing the reports in front of him. Jungkook's attention sharpened as he flipped through the pages. Jungkook, what's causing the disruption? He was the sole heir to the corporation that stood on the top for decades. After his father, he was the one to take it even higher. It was a rare, no, first time in his career seeing someone challenging the position he was at. Rosie, it's a new player in the market, amidst enterprises. She seems to have a unique approach, and the market is responding positively. Jungkook leaned back in his chair. Jungkook, prepare a meeting with the owner. As his assistant left to arrange the meeting, Jungkook searched the enterprise only to find the picture of the girl he once loved, now turned into a beautiful woman. Pride bloomed in his chest. knowing she was doing more than good in her life. The dreams she had bloomed, and she stood at a point where she was capable of challenging the one at the top. He smiled at the very thought. However, his heart ached. He knew they didn't have anything between them. Life was making them meet again as opponents. This is the path they chose for themselves, and they needed to hold on to it now. In the meeting room, Jungkook awaited Vine's arrival. He studied the reports spread across the table, his mind a battlefield of memories and business strategies. The door swung open and Vine entered, a confident smile playing on her lips. Vine, Jungkook, she greeted, the familiarity in her tone slicing through the professional ambience. Jungkook rose from his seat to greet her. He saw her after years, and it all came crashing down on him. But he knew he needed to keep his persona. Jungkook, I must say, I was surprised by your entrance. Please have a seat. Vine took a seat across from him, her gaze unwavering. If she missed him, she didn't let it show. Vine, surprises keep life interesting, don't they? As they started the conversation, it solely roomed around the business and business alone. Proposals were made, passion was tested, challenges were called, and none of them seemed like the teenagers who once loved each other dearly and probably still did. Amidst the heated exchange of charts and graphs, Jungkook's eyes caught a glimpse of Vine's phone, revealing a wallpaper that transported them back to the past, an image of them laughing carelessly in the school courtyard. Jungkook, still holding on to the past, Vine, he said with a soft voice. There was no mockery hidden in those words. He was glad. He wasn't alone, missing those times, watching her appear in his dreams every other night. She glanced at the screen, vulnerability in her eyes. Why? Some things are hard to let go. Jungkook's gaze lingered on the photo. In that moment, he felt a lot and probably let his guard down, letting it reflect on his face. Jungkook, we were happy back then. Vine's expression softened. A tiny, tiny smile played on her lips. Oh, Jungkook's heart fluttered, jumped, and did a whole backflip for all he cared. But he knew, in that moment, something really happened, seeing her smile after years. Vine. Yes, we were. But things changed, Jungkook. We have our own paths now. With that, she gathered her belongings, leaving behind a room. Jungkook watched the retreating figure. A soft smile played across his lips. This was the path they chose, but at least he got to see her again. Several weeks later, Jungkook entered the cafe. He took a break sometimes during the day. It was rare, but he did. His eye spotted Vine sitting by the window as soon as he entered, as if they were programmed to find her. The cafe gave off such warm, cozy, and aesthetic vibes. Yet, nothing compared to the lady sitting there, looking the most pleasing to his eyes. Every time she blinked, he noticed her eyelashes providing a blanket to her rosy cheeks. Her eyes took in the far away busy streets through the glass as she held the coffee mug, her French manicured nails on the display, and her hair displaying wavy beaches. He wanted to run his hands through. Jungkook, mind if I join you? He didn't know when he walked up to her. He didn't know when he decided to ask her for a seat until he actually did. Wine looked up, surprise lighting up his eyes, the one which matched his, at his own words. She nodded and he took a seat. Wine, how come you're here? Jungkook, my office is right around the corner. You know, I come here often. I should be asking you that. Wine, someone recommended me this place. I see now why. It's really warm and cozy. Jungkook, you love warm places, he whispered while keeping the rest of the sentence all to himself. Like my arms. Wine, you remember. What would you like? She called the waiter and Jungkook placed his order for coffee. It started to happen often. The coffee shop became their place out of the business to meet, where they worked behind the walls to compete with each other, to stay at the top, to fight and survive. Yet every time they entered the cafe, their hearts won. A few months passed by. They competed on projects. Articles about their companies were published. Every time an achievement was made, it roared in the whole circle. It was exactly opposite in the cafe. They met, laughed, exchanged gifts. Like tonight, when the two stepped out of the cafe after having a good time with a flower bucket in Vine's arms, gifted to her by Jungkook, which she accepted happily. Vine, he called her as she turned towards him. Jungkook, what if we could go back to those times? Time seemed to stand still until Vine finally broke the silence, her voice soft. Vine, is it possible to go back, Jungkook? Jungkook, as long as we don't miss it and have regrets later. He took a step closer. The cold of the night seemed to disappear by the radiation coming out of his body. Warmth. She loved warmth. He tugged her hair behind her ear, her fingers naturally tightening against the flowers. Sparks raced at the little touch. She believed she would be the biggest fool to miss this, to lose him to someone else. Their eyes locked. Jungkook's hand found its way to Vian's, fingers intertwining as they drew closer. He leaned in slowly, giving her a chance to push him away, but she didn't. The city's hum became a distant melody as their lips met. Their eyes fluttered close as she held onto his coat tightly in her fist, whereas Jungkook pulled her close to him. The emotions, the feelings that held up for years came out in that kiss, which took them away from reality. Breaking the kiss, he held onto the nape of her neck. Jungkook, I never let you go, Wyan. One day, I was going to find you and make you mine. Wyan, I missed you. I miss the warmth I had in my life because of you. You got me so used to yourself. It took me a hard time to handle myself. He stepped forward and took her in his embrace. The warmth she missed for years returned, and she closed her eyes in bliss. Jungkook, I'm so proud of you. Words can't describe that. He kissed her forehead and held her hand tightly in his grasp, not letting her go even for a moment. When she looked up at him, he kissed her again. She needed to know how much she was missed and loved by him. He held her close against his body. His fingers kissed her cheeks ever so softly, as if she might break. He loved her. He truly, truly loved her.